Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Imagithon Challenge Concept Showcase. We're really excited to have everybody here. Welcome to this. Feel free. We are recording. Just so everybody knows, it's already being recorded. Happy to have everybody here. We have a lot of great things to run through. Michelle, we're going to get started right away. Michelle, would you please share? All right. And hey, Alex, I'm going to make you a person to you can keep letting people in if you don't mind. Okay, Alex?
Yeah, sure.
I just got to find you and make you a co-person. Okay, there we go. There's a lot of people that are just kind of buzzing in. And so many, okay, make co-host. Great. All right, welcome everybody once again to the Concept Showcase. Happy to have everybody here. Feel free to chime in the chat where you're watching from, because I know we have a lot of extra people from where we usually have, so it's really great to have a great group here. Let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Some sort of error there. Nice. England. So I'd like to start things off by throwing it over to the person who started it all. Alex Kaplan, everybody. Round of applause and snaps.
Great. Hi, everyone, and thank you for coming to this today. It's been many months of hard work that has led us to this point, and I'm so excited for everyone to see the outcome. So I guess a bit of background for how this all got started. Back in August, I was feeling, I guess, very 2020. I was feeling very separate from an industry that I had been trying to break into. I knew I wanted to get more involved and get more portfolio experience, but I wasn't quite sure how to get that or who to work with. So it was a bit of a step outside of my comfort zone where I made a LinkedIn post just asking if anyone was interested in working together. The response was amazing, and it pretty much snowballed from there into a whole two-phase 40-person project. The kinds of people working on this project has been such a variety, from people in college who also trying to get into this industry to those who have been working for a couple years and maybe have been furloughed. So it's been really great meeting everyone. I would really like to thank all of the participants in the project. I don't think any of us really knew what we were signing up for at the beginning. And I really appreciate everyone sticking through the sometimes bumpy roads. I am definitely astounded by the amount and quality of work we have been able to produce together. And I'm definitely amazed at being able to have the chance to meet and work with you all. I'm looking forward to, at one point in the future, joining the industry with all of you in it. Also, a big thank you to all of the mentors. The knowledge and experience, industry experience that you have imparted on us has been really invaluable. Your guidance has taught us so much, and you're always pushing us in the right direction. I know my work and ideas were all the stronger for all of your input. I'd also like to thank Patrick. He was the one that first saw that LinkedIn post and saw an opportunity for collaboration and organization on a scale that I never would have thought of. He has been the organizational backbone throughout the past few months, and it definitely would not have been possible without his support. So I guess we can go back to Patrick and hear more about what you will be seeing today.
Thank you. You're too kind, Alex. You're too kind. Everyone, if you're not speaking, just go ahead and basically, I mean, primarily everyone, just go ahead and make sure you're muted, so we're not getting any feedback. We really appreciate that. Great. Yes, to piggyback on what Alex had said, a big thank you to our mentor coaches. And so how this kind of went down is we had two coaches per team, and also floater coaches that were helping for different aspects of it. So some would focus on concept art, someone help with presentation, someone help with graphic design. Again, we have Kathy Dixon, Cynthia Sharp, myself, Andy Garfield, Andy Porter, Michelle Hicks, Michael Libby, Xavier Tredo, RJ Silva, Jamie Barkowitz, Bill Keeley, and Chris Bradley. Huge shout out. They've dedicated a lot of hours and time to this project over the past since summer. And it's really been quite incredible to be able to collaborate and work with all these people on this project. So huge shout out to all of them. Really, really excited about that. All right, let's go to the next slide. We'll talk a little bit about what happened. So back in the summer, we had this brief that was given, came through. And it was that an eccentric billionaire developer is looking to utilize the existing infrastructure from the long abandoned amusement park in New Orleans to make their dent within the theme park industry. They imagine to be a next level immersion, and they have a few requests. So the site was the old Six Flags, a piece of land in New Orleans, and they had a couple of parameters they wanted to go with. And those are on the next slide. Okay, great. So they want this to be a dessert set of perspectives involved in the project. And so what you're going to see here is that we have a lot of different people who have come together to create this experience, meaning some people who've never done theme park design, never even thought of doing theme park design, some people who were maybe never even, are trying new skills out for the first time. Maybe they're trying to do concept art for the first time or writing for the first time. This has really been a whole experience, just Imagithon in general, and from the client, where they wanted to have new perspectives involved. They wanted the experience to start at home, and they wanted to have the possibilities of monetizing the at-home and post park experience. So, let's just say the whole entire park has to shut down for COVID. Can they keep monetizing that experience, which is important? So the park has an older demographic. It's geared towards teens and adults. So that means that, you might see various themes. They may all not be happy endings, or, there might be a little bit more complex storylines that are being told in regards to the types of emotions that are being played with throughout this park. We wanted the guests to have a little bit of agency and integrate the latest trends in other industries. So as guests are going through their day, what they're doing may affect the journey. That was what the client wanted. Also, the theme park story should have been compelling enough where they could launch a franchise from within it. So think about how Pirates of the Caribbean then became a set of movies, and then that came back around to being in the parks themselves. So that big of a new IP that was created for it. And then just the consideration we had in mind was having COVID-19 in mind, so that the park experience should be easily flippable to accommodate social distancing. That was also another parameter that we had. All right, so how do we get here? So we had a blue sky a session or section of this that happened in the summer, where several teams actually came and they pitched almost maybe 18 to 24 different parks in a week. It was actually pretty remarkable. And we honed in on 2 parks that we liked that have now become what we are doing today. So there was a pitch that happened several months ago, and they took the feedback from that session that we had with the other distinguished guests that was similar to this, and they then made tweaks and refined their storylines and their concepts to do more of a concept phase. We would consider this package to be more like a 90% concept. It's not finalized. It's there's some parts that aren't finished, but we've gotten pretty far along the process as part of that. So when we went to the concept phase a few months ago, we had new team members that came along to part of the project, and there were shifting dynamics, new coaches. Some people came in, and basically it was a little bit of there was a bit of a scramble that happened so that people could be mentored by new coaches in some cases, and hear different perspectives, which was really great. And we will go straight to Deja Reveria to present.
All right, if we're ready to go, then welcome adventurers to a world of myths and folklore, the last vestige of a fantastic realm where believing is seeing, and you have the power to bring legends to life. Deja Reveria. Designed around opportunities for brand activation and hands-on participation by guests of all abilities, Deja Reveria represents a new level of immersive entertainment. By combining the rich history of New Orleans with cutting-edge industry trends, teens and adults alike will find themselves engrossed in a narrative that extends from the in-park experience to their homes and back again. The utilization of existing site infrastructure will also be pivotal in creating an interactive, accessible space that maintains a modern standard of public health. Today, we are delighted to have you with us on a journey through some of Deja Reveria's most spectacular sites and unforgettable experiences. But before we dive in, it's important that we take a moment to acknowledge those who came before us. The indigenous peoples that once called this land home play a crucial role in the history and heritage of the region. The consultation of community experts, indigenous leaders, and other cultural representatives will be vital to ensure proper respect is maintained throughout the project, especially as we derive inspiration from its current and historical usage. With this in mind, allow me to introduce you to the mythical realm of Deja Reveria. Surrounding a small inland body of water known as the Sea of Reveries, the 6 lands of Deja Reveria each offer their own unique sights, experiences, and surprises. The 2 we will explore today, the Forest of the Fae and Spirits Crossing, both highlight the special connection Deja Reveria shares with mysterious worlds beyond our own and the traditions that give them life. Long ago, people looked to stories for entertainment, bonding, and guidance. This telling and retelling of folk tales invoked an ancient magic that could bring these legends to life in a thriving realm known as Reveria. But, like fading memories, new technologies and mindsets caused an inevitable decline in the sharing of cultural folklore until the link between our world and Reveria was severed completely. Desperate to save their dying reality, powerful leaders of Reveria, the patrons, used some of their last remaining magic to open a portal to the human world in hopes of reigniting our love of storytelling once more and bringing new life to their home. While each patron looks after a particular land of Deja Reveria, their influences can be found throughout the park. Today we'll get a chance to meet Laszlo from Forest of the Fae, as well as Baron Samdi of Spirits Crossing. With our help, their world can flourish once again. The portal is open and the legend is yours. Welcome to Deja Reveria. We begin our journey in the living heart of the realm, the Forest of the Fae. Hidden from outside observers by thick walls of vegetation and teeming with all manner of extraordinary organisms, this mysterious land is packed with awe-inspiring encounters and exciting new adventures that bring hidden wonders and the power of shared stories to life. Located across the Sea of Reveries from the park entrance, the relatively small Forest of the Fae offers more than enough mystery and excitement for its size. Amidst winding, overgrown passageways and colossal networks of luminous fungi, guests will find themselves immersed in exploring new discoveries around every corner. The forest is bordered on either side by other natural wonders of Deja Reveria. Through a transformation of foliage and rockwork, each land entrance is designed to offer an organic transition between the unique natural splendor of the adjacent lands and the characteristic magical energy that is present here. On one side, the darker supernatural aura of the Hollow Gardens gives way to the forest's air of discovery beneath a tunnel of gigantic bowing oak trees. On the other side of the land, a stone passageway and vine-entangled outcroppings signals the end of Eventide Grotto's rocky seaside caverns and the appearance of luminous life from within the forest. The Forest of the Fae is, most notably, the birthplace and home of the Fifale. These whimsical spirits of storytelling and imagination are tasked with the salvation and recovery of their entire reality. Reveria's preservation depends on a unique magic known as l'essence. Produced during the exchange of stories by humans, l'essence is what enables the physical manifestation of legends and folklore. Fifale venture forth from their woodland haven to wander the earth, collecting l'essence from storytellers around the world and returning it to Reveria to fuel its continued existence. Though often portrayed as malicious, Fifale are merely mischievous instigators of adventure with the goal of creating new stories to tell. In an effort to generate more l'essence and bring back storytelling traditions of the past, the Fifale have opened their home to human visitors, curating the environment and experiences we encounter within the forest to maximize stories for us to share, as well as share their own story with us. Here we see examples of objects from our world that have found unconventional new roles as Fifale houses. The forest is also an embassy of sorts. Enthusiastic guests can take their experience in Deja Reveria to the next level and continue their adventures beyond the gates with the help of the Fifale. As part of a special ceremony, guests handpick keepsakes from a variety of found objects the Fifale have collected throughout history. Fifale ambassadors then imbue these chosen items with their magic, enabling guests to play with the environment within Deja Reveria, as well as gather l'essence from the outside world and return it to the forest on their next visit. The secret to these enchanted souvenirs? Simple electronics and RFID tags allow the seemingly kitschy objects to glow, emit sound, and trigger special events and effects around the park. At home, these trinkets can even connect with guests' personal devices to unlock additional enjoyment in the form of videos, games, and graphic novels featuring characters and storylines from the park. This supplementary media expands both the reach and depth of Deja Reveria's IP, and the fun of sharing these stories to collect license gives guests a reason to visit again and again. Now I'll hand it over to Josh to talk a little bit more about the design of the land in more detail.
Nestled between Eventide Grotto and the Hollow Gardens, the Forest of the Fae will offer stunning views no matter which side guests enter from. Varying options of pathways and trails will get them up close and personal with the vegetation and the towering fungi that will serve as our land's icon. As guests journey throughout the land, they'll come across opportunities to whirl with the Fee-Fillet, fly high above the forest with them, and board a thrilling flatboat excursion that will have you splashing down into the Sea of Reveries. These elevations depict the outlandish foliage and the scale of the fantastical landscapes that will invite the guests to explore all the nooks and crannies in which our Fee-Fillet reside. The mysterious and glowing cave to the right will house our interactive Fee-Fillet shop that you heard about earlier, and this colorful dripping mushroom will act as cover for our Seek and Spin attraction. Here you can see the scale of our land's icon and the hollowed out tree trunk that will welcome guests into the underground bar that lies beneath it. And peeking out from behind the tree line, an abandoned sawmill is where guests will experience Laszlo's luminous flatboat tours. This shows a better view of what our guests will see as they make their way further into the Forest of the Fae. Guests will have the opportunity to walk through and under soaring mushrooms, have them zooming up above the land as an honorary Fee-Fillet, and we'll have them encountering special moments where they have the power to harness the magic of the land. Looming at the heart of our forest, these humongous fungi will serve as the icon for our land and will draw guests further in. They happen to be the birthplace of our Fee-Fillet friends as well. As they come back to deposit their stories and memories, the icon and the surrounding lands will glow and come to life as the energy of their magic pulses throughout the land. And now I'm going to hand it over to Evan, who's going to talk us through some of our land's attractions.
First, we will find Laszlo's luminous flatboat tour. Here, a deceivingly pleasant trip through familiar and famous folklore stories goes wildly awry as Laszlo's attempt to take guests on a boat tour falls prey to the mischief, mayhem of the friends, foes, and folk heroes that have come to life. A little bit about Laszlo before we move on with the story. Laszlo is the patron of the Forest of the Fae. An ambitious ambassador of sorts, he is eager to promote tourism to the land and goodwill towards the Fee-Fillet. He's a bit of a snarky, all-knowing, carnival barker meets showman attitude, and he's the only Fee-Fillet with a special translator device that enables him to speak in human languages. A bit of an unreliable narrator, but then again, who isn't? Guests will be lured by the sounds of voices in the distance, where they will wander into a dimly lit shack next to an abandoned sawmill overtaken by the vegetation of the forest. This is where Laszlo, the aforementioned patron of the Forest of the Fae, will dash around until he accidentally imbues a lantern with light, which casts a beam across the room upon a book that comes to life as words quite literally fly off the page and morph into the stories from which they describe. It is at this time that Laszlo explains the reason he has gathered the guests here today is to relive some of his favorite folklore stories and preserve their memory so that they may be told again and again. Boarding flatboats floating down a canal, Laszlo reassures guests his luminous lantern will lead the way and that he knows what he's doing. That is until guests are caught in a surprise attack from the fearsome Latisse swamp monster, one of the many local legends that have come to life that guests will encounter as Laszlo recounts local Louisiana folktales. Can Laszlo harness the power of story in an attempt to return guests to calmer waters, or will his favorite stories be forever forgotten? The finale will surprise guests with a drop similar to a traditional shoot-the-chute style ride, skimming across the water above a sunken steamship paddle wheeler still bellowing out tunes from its showboating days on the Mississippi. Before departing this haphazard excursion, Laszlo, ever the showman, inserts himself into the story by offering to take a picture of the guests, which turns into a sort of selfie as he includes himself in the on-ride photo. Returning safely to the abandoned sawmill, guests will depart through an overgrown general store, inviting them to explore more of the land's exciting offerings, such as Flight of the Fee-Fillet. On Flight of the Fee-Fillet, guests will climb high above the canopy, taller than the tallest trees and the funkiest fungi. While riding in makeshift paragliders crafted from foraged forest materials, guests will gaze upon the land from above and even spy a Fee-Fillet village hidden in the treetops. This will use a powered suspended roller coaster ride system, which will enable greater storytelling capabilities and capacity, as the ride vehicle's speed and rotation can be controlled. Guests will be flying all around the Forest of the Fae, but they won't miss a moment of the key show elements that make this ride so magical. From such great heights, guests will catch a glimpse of our last attraction featured for this land, the fabled Spin and Seek. While playing on the Spin and Seek, guests can join a whirling game of hide and seek with the Fifale on this interactive spinning teacups ride. While spinning out of control, trying to find as many Fifale as they can, guests use a button by their seats that triggers special effects, which create a dazzling ensemble of color and light, both on and off the ride. It's all the fun of a shooting gallery wrapped up into a teacups ride. It already has my head spinning. Oof, I think I need some good libations. Shannon, what do we have to quench the guests' appetite?
Well, Evan, to start us off, we have an underground bar hidden just beneath our mushroom icon. This bar will be a uniquely cozy experience that takes you deep under the Forest of the Fae and allows our guests to sip and converse under the glowing bioluminescence of the land. Another option for a quick bite to eat will be Jester's newly founded food truck, as our mischievous Fifale have commandeered an auto repair truck that was caught up for a job and have since permanently renovated it to serve their human guests. Beyond our dining experiences, additional design considerations include interactive moments, such as water jumping above our guests' heads, which eloquently portrays the energy and life that surrounds them in the land, integrated mobile device charging stations that are themed directly into our fantastical plant life, and even engaging restrooms which contain unique elements like waterfalls and projection effects that still make our guests feel very much a part of the land wherever they are. And of course, you can't visit the Forest of the Fae without personally meeting Laszlo. Guests will find Laszlo's meet and greet spot
Or
at
at
the back
one, hon.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah. Is she first?
At the back of the sorry. Guests will find Laszlo's meet and greet spot at the back of the enchanted souvenir retail shop where Laszlo is waiting to welcome them. The interactive sign is the first thing guests will encounter, which is outfitted with magnifying glasses and oversized buttons that will light up the entire sign when they're pushed. This is meant to encourage guest engagement while also preparing them for the hands-on entertainment that they'll find just inside. Laszlo's meet and greet is inside of a cave thrumming with magic, and it's full of Laszlo's own souvenirs that he's collected over time. Dozens of the items in here are interactives. The guest's Fifale magical objects will be able to activate an interaction that could result in the creation of sound, movement, or light. Of course, at the end of this large collection of souvenirs is Laszlo himself, a welcoming Fifale who has plenty of answers and plenty of questions for his guests. Upon reaching him, guests will discover that they can actually see Laszlo because he's enlarged behind a massive magnifying glass and speaks into a mega gramophone that helps his voice carry throughout the cave. Renewed curiosity, new knowledge about the origins of this fantastic realm, and some Fifale magic to guide you on your next quest. It's time to bid the Forest of the Fae adieu as we continue our tour of Deja Reveria. As you've seen here, stories are powerful things. From the tales and experiences that give life to the forest and its inhabitants to small adventures that bring joy and surprise to everyday activities, sharing stories with others is the essence of a world full of hidden wonders. And now on to another land in Deja Reveria, Spirits Crossing.
Welcome to Spirits Crossing. Sorry. This land is focused on a town that sits between Guinea, the spirit world or underworld, and Deja Reveria. But this isn't some empty ghost town. In fact, it's a very lively place. Spirits Crossing was built by Loa, which means spirit guide. In this land, it's the Gede family of powerful spirit guides from New Orleans lore who act as the middlemen between the living and the dead. As guests move about the land, they'll naturally wander through the retail area into the residential section, and further forward into the brightly lit carnival section featuring our iconic Ferris wheel towering over the trees. The look of this land is meant to be a little strange, a little odd. The Loa based this town on their favorite memories. This is why Spirits Crossing has such warped architecture, furniture, and fashion. This is a town built between life and death, a literal Spirits Crossing, and the uneven design visually prepares guests for the narratives going on here, where the supernatural coexist amongst the living. Spirits Crossing sits between Rumshuckle Junction, a bustling square exploding with innovation, and the Hollow Gardens, a primal, haunted land full of supernatural beasts. Spirits Crossing exists calmly between these 2 points. It's literally leaning against the living and sitting at the supernatural edge. Guests will also encounter some more interactive elements, further establishing that this supernatural land has a life all its own. Portals, similar to the massive one that guests use to visit Deja Reveria in the larger park narrative, are quite common in Spirits Crossing. Though the calmer portals in Spirits Crossing are all quite different, each exists just out of reach and glows something fierce. Standing out of time as excellent photo opportunities and supernatural spots, the magical fee-fillet affected objects will light up to engage with. Some portals will also turn colors themselves, make a sound, or create movement in response to the magical objects. Here we have signage examples that utilize the black and purple colors commonly identified with Baron Samedi, the father of the Loa family of spirit guides who built this town. You'll notice the signs seem to glow. That's a detail common throughout the land, as guests get closer to the underworld entrance that exists in Spirits Crossing. The glow signifies the escaping supernatural magic overflowing from the spirit world and into ours. Though this glow may be most noticeable at night, vibrant purple borders make the signs pop during the daytime. The Gates of Guinea is our e-ticket attraction. Guests begin this ride on a whimsical Ferris wheel, but are quickly transported not just underground, but to Guinea, otherwise known as the underworld. Guests enter this attraction after walking through the glowing carnival scenes that light up this section of the land, a glow that only gets brighter the closer they get to the entrance, visualizing the overflowing magic here. In fact, the Gates of Guinea attraction itself is marked by a Ferris wheel, lit up in colors and magic as the most magnificent spot in Spirits Crossing. Guests are drawn to it like moths to a flame, and throughout the queue to ride, they'll learn that this is more than a spin around a Ferris wheel. This is the place to meet Baron Samedi's family, the other Loa spirit guides, for a celebration feast that, unbeknownst to them, is usually only reserved for the spirits, and for good reason. After going through the Gates of Guinea interactive queue, guests will board a ride vehicle, which uses a switchback loading system that transfers loaded cars to a second track, allowing for the next car to be loaded sooner. Vehicles on the second track then transition onto the Ferris wheel. This will carry guests up in their ride vehicles, giving an elevated view of the land, before lowering them down into the Guinea underworld. Because the land in Louisiana is so swampy, the paths in Spirits Crossing gradually slope upward at a 1:20 ratio, reaching an elevation of 35 feet, to allow the Gates of Guinea show building and back of house to appear as if they're underground. Once guests have rotated to the bottom of the Ferris wheel, their ride vehicles will be dispatched onto a roller coaster track, plunging them into a fast-paced dark ride throughout the underworld and across the 7 Guinea gates. The spirit guides are more than happy to host their first live guests in centuries, and it's with each passing gate that riders may begin to realize that they don't quite belong here. This is an example of one of the Guinea gates guests will face. This is Gate 6, home to the Loa known as Baron Criminal, one of the most powerful spirit guides, known as the Spirit of Justice. Guests will just manage to evade him and his judgment, and finally return to the surface at the end of their underworld journey, where they'll emerge from the show building in a carnival tent, unload, and exit to the retail while the car returns to the loading dock to repeat the journey all over again. Like we've mentioned before, Baron Samedi is the father of the Gede family of spirit guides and the patron of Spirits Crossing. He's known for greeting and leading souls to the underworld, as well as corralling the occasional zombie. Unfortunately, from the looks of what's holding up that sign, it appears Baron may have missed one or two. Welcome to the crossroads of Baron Samedi, our D-ticket attraction, and Baron Samedi's house, which is every bit as unique and otherworldly as he is. And as a guide who always has an excuse to party, Baron is hosting an open house, giving guests an invite to step inside. It's there that guests will meet Baron just as he discovers that zombies have infiltrated his house. Again. Guests will interact with Baron on this erratic dark ride and embark on an unearthly tour of his home as they join Baron's comical zombie chase. But before the ride begins, the seats guests take on the ride vehicle will randomly assign whether they'll help Baron as he rounds up the runaway zombies, or foil his attempts and let the zombies run amok. Our final attraction is an aerial carousel hosted by Linto, the Loa, or spirit guide, of miracles. While famous for his strategy and long-term planning, Linto is also well known for appearing as a little boy and often takes time to create those smaller miracles that bring moments of joy. On this sea ticket ride, guests are a part of the show that Linto is putting on for his family, including Baron Soundy. Guests will feature as the stars of his show and follow his instructions to go up or down, fast or slow, while playful Fifle happily handle the rest. The set of this ride will feature plenty of lights and theatrical elements to make it a truly magical show. Plus, guests' magical objects will glow and vibrate in response to how high or low they go while the Fifle are near. Back near the Gates of Guinea attraction, the immediate space surrounding the Ferris wheel and the entrance to our underworld is always aglow and the perfect place to play. Since the spirit guides act as guardians here, Spirits Crossing celebrates the living and the dead with this fun carnival atmosphere full of collaborative entertainment and prize-winning opportunities. If guests need a break from all the excitement, there's still plenty of glow to soak in as part of an intimate dining experience. For those carrying magical objects, guests will experience plenty of interactive moments located at the entrance near the host, inside their booth, and even in response to their server and seating section. Of course, if guests aren't ready to take a seat just yet, Confection Deceptions offers guests the chance to eat antiques inside one of our retail shops. Here, guests can order a variety of objects from another time to taste while taking in the retail shops. At Spirits Crossing, there are two main types of merchandise to collect. The first can be found in our many antique shops, which sell the ancient, the exclusive, and the magical. Revived Relics is our proposed antique flagship store, branded as an estate sale that simply never ends as spirits continue to restock the shelves. Revived Relics is the start of a large section of retail shops filled with dreamy baubles and collectibles that disappear or reappear throughout the day, thanks to the use of illusion show elements like Pepper's Ghost. Magical objects guests carry may react to various antique displays and even light up when guests stand close enough to observe an object disappear. Here, one can expect to find Spirits Crossing accessories like brass keychains, Loa-inspired merchandise, and collectibles exhibiting the same unique designs of the town. Which leads us to our supernatural section of shops, the second category of merchandise offered at Spirits Crossing. Whereas our stretch of antique shops are dimly lit and carry an air of elegance, this supernatural bunch of shops nods to the same colorful glow emanating from all of the supernaturally charged areas in Spirits Crossing. One such shop is Apparitions Apothecary, where handwritten signs adorn every display of mysterious wares offered by Spirits Crossing's local inhabitants. Here, a guest's magical object may rattle, glow, or make a noise depending on what display guests walk by. A magical object might even activate a hidden portal inside the shop if guests can find it. Knitted toys, glow-in-the-dark trinkets, and other authentic goods from Spirits Crossing fill the aisles here. And that concludes our visit to Spirits Crossing. Thank you for taking this supernatural journey with us. Don't forget to explore the portals with your Fifle, or accept that invitation on our magnificent Ferris wheel. And now, onward to CORSAIR Cove.
All right, we are very happy to share an entertainment offering for land located just downstream that was originally introduced in Deja Reveria's Blue Sky phase called CORSAIR Cove. It's home to a harbor full of half-sunken shipwrecks and an old outpost that housed many maroon pirates who live here. Though CORSAIR Cove itself has not been fully developed, we wanted to give you a sneak peek inside this rowdy land and share an entertainment offering that's too exciting to miss. One of CORSAIR Cove's relentless buccaneers is Marauder, a notorious pirate captain who will gladly retell his grandest adventures to eager ears. Only he likes to embellish, so much so that it always causes Fleet, Marauder's longtime rival, to intervene and rouse members of the audience to either join his crew or Marauders in a clash of swords called Swashbuckler Stunt Show. This live entertainment offering invites guests to be a part of the story in CORSAIR Cove, where pirates tumble, toss, swing, and sword fight around a wrecked ship that allows for guests to join either captain's crew and be a part of the action. It'll all accumulate in a final fight that decides whose tale is true and which pirate is superior in a rowdy battle of wits and showmanship. Now, after a day of adventuring through Deja Reveria, it's time for a show. Visions of Reveria is a character-driven nighttime spectacular featuring live actors, projection mapping, and good old-fashioned fireworks. The show takes place on Deja Reveria's Sea of Reveries, the lake connecting all of the park lands together, in ruins that seem to appear out of thin air. This location on the lake allows guests to see the show from every land, in various viewing spots located around the Sea of Reveries. Visions of Reveria is both the narrative finale to the park and a call to action for departing guests to return. The show begins as another portal opens, and Deja Reveria's park patrons fail to get it under control. Guests will have to help the patrons in this spectacular struggle to save Deja Reveria and restore the world of story. Guests can use their Fifale magical objects to give the park patrons a helping hand, creating integrative effects that will accumulate in a finale of fire, water, light, and most importantly, magic. Together, guests and park patrons repair the portal, properly opening a pathway that will allow guests to return to their world and back again to Deja Reveria anytime. The show will end in a final burst of light, firework, and unique Fifale light show. In its final beat, the park patrons offer guests their heartfelt gratitude in a simple, "Till next time." Thank you for joining us on this adventure through Deja Reveria, full of Fifale, spirit guides, sword-clashing pirates, and as you saw today, so much more. Like we discussed earlier, this park appeals to both teens and adults with unique attractions, engaging interactives, and New Orleans-inspired storytelling that could only be fully realized here at our proposed New Orleans park site. And after guests experience Deja Reveria, the Fifale interactives don't stop when they leave. Magical objects they take home will connect with guests' personal devices to unlock videos, games, graphic novels, featuring additional storylines and challenges from the park, giving guests a reason to visit the park itself again and again. As for now, as you depart, just remember, the portal is open and your story awaits. Till next time.